Hello, everybody, and welcome to WAGMI with iToken. Today, I have with me three special guests to talk to you about NFTs and the Metaverse. So, we will cover what is going on in the NFT space right now and how our projection is like for the future. So, let me just introduce our guests to you. We have Adomas from D-Race. Adomas from D-Race. It's a NFT project about horses where each one of you can own your horse and you can breed them and then you can race them. Next, we have Doctor. Next, we have Mark from USM, United States of Mars. It's a Metaverse project. And after that, we have Dr. Whitney, who will be representing Jazz DID. It's a domain name NFT, which we know is all the hype right now. So, and of course, I, your host, am from iToken Wallet. So please download iToken Wallet mobile app from the App Store or the Play Store and import your crypto BSC address because we are going to play a game in this session. So this session will last 1 hour long, and we're going to be discussing about 9 or 10 questions. And in between every few questions, I will be dropping some secret magic words. So what you need to do is with your iToken wallet app, import your wallet and copy down your BSC address, and we will be giving out prizes. So every now and then, I will drop a magic word. You have to type in the live chat box the magic word plus your BSC wallet address. And we will be picking some lucky winners for CANDYDROP. And just to repeat, this will be a casual session today. It is not any financial advice. Please do your own research before investing in any token and any NFT. So now let's very happy to have you here today. We'll start with our first question. Now we know that this conversation today is to be about NFTs, right? So now let's go back to the basics. What exactly is an NFT? So my question to my guests here today is, how would you explain in your own words without technical jargon to your grandma or your grandpa what is an NFT? Let's start with Adomas from D-Race.
Hey, so that's a good question because I actually tried to explaining it to my grandparents previously when they asked what are you doing. so um, so I would go with the same answer as I did. It's a digital asset, so it doesn't matter what kind of asset it is. It's just a digital asset. I was asked another question: what is digital asset? So I had to explain that as well. So it's like the things which you own or have, but instead of having real version of it or physical version, you have a virtual version of it. So it's like, for example, the things which you see on TV. If you own one of these characters or something happening there, that would be like digital asset or digital signature.
I see. How about you, Mark? What would you say?
Yeah, I would just say it's like an image, a digital image that can also act as an access pass, or in other words, just a virtual ticket, like what you would see like on a phone. I mean, NFTs have a lot of different utilities, depending on the project you have it for. But yeah, just the simplest way to explain it to someone that's not familiar with like crypto, just think of it as like a virtual image slash a ticket. That's the way I would explain it.
Okay, and let's move on to Dr. Whitney. How would you explain to your grandma what is an NFT?
Well, I agree with both Adamas and Mark, but what I would add is, the NFT is a record in the blockchain or in some sort of network which is global, and there are two properties which are crucial for any NFT. It has a creator or issuer, and it has an owner. So those two things at a minimum has to be as a property. So there are many more other applications and utilities what you can put on it. It can be a ticket, it can be a digital image, it can be a recording, anything. But the crucial part here that it is issued by somebody and it is owned by somebody. And
Okay.
in short, yeah.
I see. That is a very detailed answer indeed. I hope our users will understand what exactly is an NFT today and that they will be able to follow us for the rest of our conversation. Now, although I asked you to explain NFTs to grandmothers, not every grandmother or grandfather does not know what an NFT is. Some of them, like for example, Mr. Anthony Hopkins here, who is 85 years old, he just launched his own NFT collection and it sold out in 7 minutes in OpenSea. So yeah, just to share with the audience. So let's move on to our second question. What is your general thoughts on how the NFT scene has evolved from the old days of pixel JPEGs? I'm sure everybody is familiar with CryptoPunks, pixel JPEGs, and Monkey JPEGs, which is a Bored Ape Yacht Club. How has it evolved from the initial beginning to today? Now let me show you an example. So you see, let's take a look at Eminem. He bought this Bored Ape for about 450,000, and right now the value is 140,000. The general consensus is that crypto is dying, NFT is dying, blah blah blah. But yet again, some people remain very confident about it. What would you say, Adumas?
Yeah, I mean, the whole involvement of NFTs, I mean, it started just as just the first application was just as a pictures. But I every day see real and more real life world application for them. Ticketing services started using NFTs as the IDs, as just, cheap and easy and just probably really hard way to counterfeit or just tickets, banking, the discount codes. I mean, I would say, after a while people realize the real, just application of them, and just it keeps evolving and evolving. So it's been quite a ride. So yeah, it just keeps increasing. So I think in next 5 years we're gonna see way and more different applications, which we're still not seeing today.
I think so. I do agree with you that NFTs is still in the beginning and there's still a long way. Every project and every industry has to start from somewhere and eventually it will evolve and grow. And I do see the potential in this. How about you, Mark?
Yeah, I agree with Adamas about the ticketing services and the increased utility for NFTs. It almost reminds me of like how back in the day they had back on Bitcoin Talk they used to release cryptocurrencies and they were all just like copies of each other. So it was like a copy of Bitcoin and like Dark Coin, Ethereum coin. Remember, just like pretty much copies. And what they did was it changed up the algorithm. Instead of like SHA-256, they just added like different proof of work algorithms to make it more gimmicky. The same thing with NFTs and profile pictures. Now they're just like trying to add. It's like almost the same thing, but they just change it a little bit. And as the space starts to evolve, now there's more utility to different NFTs. One of my personal favorites is like the virtual real estate for Other Deed, Decentralized, and Sandbox. Also ticketing services. Now it's more like an access pass, and even some games like play to earn games like Alien World are starting to use NFTs as tools, actual mining tools within games. So I think the utility is definitely going to continue expanding, and we're going to keep finding new ways to utilize like the whole concept of the non-fungible assets.
Yeah, that's right. We'll get to that shortly after this question about the play to earn, move to earn, whatever to earn. There's so many different types of to earns. So how about Dr. WAGMI? What would you say about how the NFT industry is evolving?
Well, it is changing, rapidly growing, all the utilities which were listed before, but also even more things like IDs or decentralized ID. What we are actually doing is allowing people to have their virtual passport in the Web3 world. and simplify the use of those like very hard to remember long addresses with the hexadecimal codes, and use something like very easy to remember name to share with other people, so that they can interact with you in these blockchain networks. So that's kind of one of the applications of just the idea. Even though more, we can integrate multiple chains so that users can use them smoothly without thinking much about how they're intricately working, which is similar to what happened with the internet when DNS was introduced. So this is
that's very interesting. I do see that this is the how the way the industry is evolving. So within NFTs, there's different types of NFTs. So first there was the PFPs, and then the copycats died out, and then eventually only the strong ones remain. Same for GameFi, and I guess now is the proliferation of the domain names. So there's tons and tons of domain names, but I guess it will take a while. Definitely, there'll be a lot of copycats around, but eventually only the strong ones will remain. So now we have come to the time for our first magic word for our dear audience. I'm sure you are all looking forward to the candy drop. Now, this is our first magic word, hashtag I love iToken. So how to win the candy drop? You have to copy and paste your iToken BSC wallet address together with the magic word in the live chat box right now. If you don't have it already, quickly go to the App Store or Play Store to download it and import your wallet to get your address. What prizes do we have for today? We have .b and we have .bnb domain names, and we have it's a 100K club, 5-digit domain names, .bab, and we also have $100 worth of Raka tokens, and we'll be giving out $1,000 worth of USDC. So all these will be spread among all the magic words. There are 5 magic words that I will be dropping today. Make sure to hit all of them. Stay throughout the session, as I'll be dropping magic words every 2 questions. So now let's go on to our next question. I hope you have gotten down the magic word. I'm going to remove it right now. Okay, next question. Play to earn has contributed a lot to NFT hype. However, recently, again, it seems to have kind of died off, as we see. Big Brother Axie Infinity. If you just Google it, you can see it's full of bad news. People who have earned through play to earn, especially people in developing countries like in the Philippines and the Vietnam. They thought they could make a lot of money in P2E in the past when it was at its peak. And so they quit their jobs or they quit school, and then they jumped into Axie Infinity. But now the token price has kind of gone down, such that it's not very sustainable for them to use play to earn as a source of sustenance for their daily living. What would you say about the development of play to earn, Adomas?
Yeah, that's a really good example. Mark actually gave really good example about chains being just deployed and tokens being deployed previously. So I would say that's the same thing with play to earn and games and the whole mechanism. Right now we're seeing just a lot of copies which constantly copying the same mechanism and just applying it over and over again. And there will be a couple of, ones who's gonna survive with this model, but generally, I believe that the whole play to earn model needs to improve, and it generally cannot be sustainable long term. So the completely simple and stupid play to earn model, it doesn't work. It has to evolve actual economics around it. That was the reason why we saw the first flop in crypto, and then just everything started crumbling down as house build out of cards. But generally it works. We've seen it with games previously, which do not run on Web3. So there are plenty of online multiplayer games who have really good economics. Unfortunately, NFTs and crypto are not involved in it, but it's been running for 5, 10, some games even 15 years, and just these economics still work. So I believe maybe these economics are not so rewarding as we would like them to be, or we used to be just seeing examples from the last year, but they work. And to answer it shortly, I believe that it's gonna work, but it's not gonna be as rewarding as we've seen it last year.
And since you come from a play to earn project as well, maybe you can share with us how to make the tokenomics work.
That's a good question. So you have to involve some actual utility or real world utility around it, an actual business model. Business model cannot only sustain from growing user base, because eventually at some points you're reaching the user base peak, which like in all, like cryptocurrency charts, all charts, it just, even if it's still coming up, it just comes in waves, and you're just reaching certain peaks of the user base, then you see a decline, then you're changing something or just improving your model or just the whole gameplay, and you see peak again. But in order to, this is why the actual working business model around it is needed. If you only rely on the user base, unfortunately that's not really gonna work, because the falling down curve will take the whole concept and the business along with it.
I see. How about Mark? Is there a P to earn element in USM? And what are your thoughts on P2E? Like, is it dying right now, or is it?
I agree with Adamus that it's like not very sustainable right now. Play to earn element in USM, so it would be similar to how right now we're working on the World Cup, and there's gonna be like almost like a betting game, a guessing game where you can guess on certain teams and get rewarded for it. But the big thing with play to earn, I think, is the economics are not sustainable. Especially with the way the markets are going up and down. When it's a bear market, it's very hard to offer incentive to players to play or give them any meaningful rewards. So I think one way to solve it would be, you can look at YouTube, the way YouTube works, where they have a pretty good sustainable ecosystem. I was actually talking about the same thing yesterday with Xiao Liang from our development team. So you mentioned this idea where, like, if you look at YouTube, they have a sustainable economy where they have money coming from ads, and then they're able to pay people who create videos. So in a similar way, a play to earn game that can somehow either get money from ads, like Metaverse ads or place of store ads, and then give the profit back to the community, or even something drastic like using a stable coin as the base token for the economy that just stays with the same price. Because a lot of these projects, they just use play to earn to promote their token or create utility for their token, and then when their token price goes down, it's very hard to recover from it. Or you can look at like Steppen, for example. Back when it was hyped up, people make a lot of money, but now that things are kind of slowing down a little bit, it's a lot more tough. So it's something that some sort of tokenomics that would maybe be independent of the token price itself, and also creating some sort of income, stable income, like through ads, will definitely be an improvement on the current play to earn model.
I see. But what do you guys think about playing for the sake of earning? Doesn't it go against the idea of play in the first place? Say, for example, if I like to play badminton or soccer, I play it because I like to play, not because I'm going to earn $5 from a match.
Right. I think just the earning aspect is just a way to incentivize users to participate in the economy, especially now with blockchain. It's a lot easier to distribute the profits to the users, because before with traditional games, most of the profits are going to the actual company. Like when you buy skins or you buy weapons, that money just go right back to the original company. But with blockchain, now you're able to redistribute that income to their users. I think that's where it is kind of an incentive to
Right.
play. Yeah.
Right. Let's move on to Dr. WAGMI. What are your thoughts on P2E?
Well, I'm looking at it in the marketing perspective. So it's a great tool to engage with the community and, even grow your community to a certain extent. Of course, you don't have to rely on it solely. And it also helps to, like Mark said, like put some ads into that and through this engagement, you can monetize the various things in including the metaverses or those decentralized IDs. For example, we are going to distribute the vouchers to pay renewal fees through the game, which is not going to be like directly money. It's a little bit secondary, so that may help with sustaining this model for longer term.
I see. So you mean for just D&D, there's a gaming element as well? I thought it was just domain names.
No, there is going to be the Metaverse game in USM, which rewarding you with the vouchers so you can pay renewal fee for just the ID.
I see, I see. So all three projects with us right now all have some gaming elements. So
Yeah.
I guess P2A is not entirely there. It's just a matter of how you plan the tokenomics, how you plan the gaming system, and yeah, the strongest projects will sustain in the future, and the weaker projects will just die off. So just now we mentioned move to earn, right? And StepN. So we did see this crazy hype of StepN, especially when it got listed on many exchanges. And then all of a sudden the bubble just suddenly popped. And people are saying that, oh, it's a scam, it's dead and whatever. But I'm not sure if it's just a normal market development or is move to earn entirely dead. Like after play to earn, there came all sorts of things. Like I even heard of eat to earn, sleep to earn, and whatever to earn. So, but people generally they have slightly more preference for move to earn because it promotes a healthy lifestyle, etc., rather than some other whatever to earn, which has no benefit to humans at all. What are your thoughts on this, Adomas? Do you think move to earn could eventually be something?
Anything, even sleep turn could be something. I mean, if you target your audience correctly, so the biggest value right now in the whole tech world is big data. So if you have a user base, they have certain preferences. You have a huge user base where, for example, certain advertisement placement could be very, very valuable. So just by selecting and just filtering user base to a couple of narratives, it could generate revenue for the company running it behind it. And the company, if the company is willing to distribute some of that earnings among their users, that completely works. I mean, it could be anything. It could be, I don't know, lift your hand to earn if you want to, I don't know, sell some, I don't know, weights probably, or just, I don't know, wear a shirt to earn. If you're selling shirts, that's a good placement to put your ad in. So that anything works if you're generating enough user base around it. What we've seen with with the whole move to earn movement, it was a first approach how just change the mechanics of the earn mechanism and apply it more to the real world. I think that's like the first actual practical attempt, and we're just gonna see way more improved versions of that, or even just step up gonna add additional some mechanisms around it, and it's absolutely gonna success. I'm not saying like this exact product gonna success, but the whole concept it has a lot of potential around it.
I see. So what you're saying is that it doesn't matter what to earn it is, as long as the team is strong, genuine, and sincere, and there's a strong community behind it, anything can be made into a success.
Business model, first of all. If you know how to monetize and not to rely on the incoming, just, I don't know. If you know how to correctly monetize your community and make a business outside of your community, with that community or without it, that's perfect. I mean, then it's like business 101 for anything.
How about Mark? I think your USM is so cool. It has lots of potential. Like Mark Zuckerberg is really into AR and VR right now, and that is like your USM, right? You could wear those like cool head glasses and then do some move to earn stuff. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the metaverse is definitely like still very young. I mean, there's a lot of because there's a lot of ups and downs. I mean, now if you're reading about the metaverse, a lot of negative news coming up about it, but it's like still the technology is still early, And the metaverse, I mean, we already had video games. It's just a way of like marrying the blockchain aspect of it to the actual, 3D virtual reality. Not even virtual reality, just like a virtual world that players can experience. And just because it's a blockchain, because we're trying to utilize blockchain technology, then it's almost like taking a few steps backwards. That's why like the Decentraland looks like almost like a version of Minecraft, and the sandbox is still very early. Just still the technology is still very, very early, I feel like, but there's definitely a lot of potential. And especially with just like the idea of living in the virtual metaverse, it's very appealing to like the new generation. I mean, on Twitch, for example, one of the most popular games is like the GTA RP role playing server, and people are making thousands of dollars just playing the server and like role playing. So it's a similar way with metaverse. That's what they're trying to achieve in the long term, but it's still very early on the development costs, and just that most developers aren't really too familiar with blockchain yet. So it's still a learning experience for everybody. But I think the potential is definitely there. I mean, Mark Zuckerberg, he pivoted his whole billion-dollar company into the metaverse. So I definitely think there's something there, and there's going to be a lot of detractors and people that don't agree with the metaverse. I think it's a little dumb. I mean, even my parents are someone that's, let's say, they're open to investing in cryptocurrency, but when I tell them about virtual real estate, they just laugh. Why would you even do that? But things like that. It's like when people at first they laugh at it, but next thing they're like, "Oh, I wish I was early at the party." So I think there's definitely a lot of opportunity there.
Right. Okay, so Dr. Benny, what do you think? Play to earn, move to earn, or do you think people should just go to McDonald's and work to earn?
Well, again, as I said, it's a great marketing tool essentially, and you have to like utilize it in a way that how the revenue will be coming in. So you can come up with, as Adamas said, like with anything you do, and you can put the pitches in it, and like some brands build a partnership with them, distribute their product, and they will be happy to work with you as your like interactive advertisement is one of the most effective ways to promote the product. So that's a great tool for everyone. It's just you have to be smart about how to use it, and don't let it go like out of control like many of early projects did, and then this wave of rapid growth ended drastically. So that's what you have to be. You have to keep the balance all the time, and just don't think about it as a magic recipe for like making profit from nothing. It has to be like realistic, and it has to be made with particular like ideas. When you have a certain product you want to push to the people, that's one of the greatest tools right now, and it has a lot of potential. We have to embrace it and hope that some companies will come up with sustainable ways of keeping this for everyone, so everyone is happy.
That's right. Just like Adomas mentioned previously, it's all your business model. As long as it's honest, respectable, sustainable, and I'm sure you do a good job. I mean, why not? And move to earn is pretty good. We even have big companies like Nike and Adidas pouring big money into it. And not to mention with the medical sector, that could grow even further. So now we have come to our magic word number 2, hashtag DIDNFT. For those who do not know, DID stands for Decentralized ID, which is the rage right now, domain names. It started with .eth with the ENS project, but now we have seen so many of them, like .bsc, .bnb, .bab, .ftm, whatever, just so many of it. So anyway, type in the magic word, hashtag DIDNFT together with your BSC wallet address of iToken. Type it in the live chat right now to stand to win some CANDYDROP. All right, now let's move on to the next question. From what we have discussed previously about the evolution of NFTs from PFPs until what we have today, if you have followed the NFT news, there seems to be a lot of hate and a lot of love for PFP NFTs. Now, what are PFP NFTs? Those are profile picture NFTs. Means like you buy an NFT because you like it, you like the look of it, and you want to use it as your profile photo. Now, a lot of people are saying that these have no utility. These are just like the project just makes a few random photos, collects money, and that's it. There's actually no advantage to the users. However, interestingly, we see that in the top 10 projects in OpenSea, majority of them are PFPs, right? And even for our iToken wallet, we just celebrated our 4th anniversary, and we gave out some NFTs, which are PFP NFTs. So, well, I guess there's a lot of love and hate here. People just love to hate PFPs. What do you think about this, Adomas?
I think the main problem and hate comes from just people, users, and just generally being dishonest with themselves. First of all, probably if they mad about it, they purchased it not because they like the pictures, because they were expecting some sort of profit out of it. So fundamentally, I believe, they just lying to themselves, stating that they like the first picture in the first place. This is why they paid XYZ for it, and then they're expecting some sort of use out of it. I mean, I'm not against it. I like these pictures as well. I like the whole idea of it, that they have certain rarities and certain rarity scales where you can just purchase it, flex it, and just that's fun way of doing things. But generally speaking, some of the projects found a way to add more application and utility to their NFTs. They started as just a PFP pictures, and then later on, they just the crew behind it realized, like, oh, we actually have pretty strong community. Maybe let's try pushing something, actual more fun out of it. It all comes to the community, in my opinion. Even the community themselves, if they are formed pretty strong and well, they can do anything. And of course, if they like each other as a community, they can take it further without the creator or the owner of these NFTs. I mean, no one is stopping you to host an event, or just conference, or just a concert or something somewhere where the entry ticket would be that certain contract PFP picture. You don't have to be the creator of that whole collection or something, or you can just start using them for create additional game where only these PFP pictures, we draw them as a 3D models, or just user inspiration, create some certain mechanics, or chess game, for example, where only certain contract users can participate. I would say this is usually what happens with the communities around certain sport or hobbies. If there is a hobby which there is a community formed around it, even with very unpopular hobbies, it gets driven by the community forward. So somebody in the community takes the lead, organizes a meetup, then event, then some tournament, then something, and then just takes off and shortly forms to bigger organizations. So by saying that, I would like to more encourage the users and the whole base. That's the whole purpose of NFTs. If you have them, you own it. That means even if you're not a creator of that NFT, you still have the digital asset, and you are completely you can create things with it on your own without developer being involved.
I see. So most of the hate comes from a misalignment of expectations. Like you are actually supposed to buy the NFT for the sake of appreciating the art, It's kind of like a vanity thing, not so much of flipping a profit. And when markets are bad like today and you find that your NFT price has dropped, and then that's where the hate comes from. So what do you say, Mark? What's your take on this?
Yeah, I definitely agree with the Damas that it's people's expectations to make profits that kind of make them feel sour maybe, and especially when they see like a PFP NFT that is similar to any other NFT and all of a sudden rises in price a lot, then it kind of the FOMO sets in and you get a little angry and then just like, screw all this, I don't even want to deal with all these NFTs, they're all the same. People just get kind of upset like a little bit. I mean, obviously, if we all of us bought like the BAYC when they first came out, we'd all be like millionaires, but we're not gonna. A lot of it is almost like a lottery thing, so you just want to definitely purchase the NFT, like Adama said, just for the community aspect of it. If you like the art or maybe you like the community that it represents. And yeah, nothing stops people from just creating meetups or like it's further promoting the community. And if you have a strong enough community like the BAYC, when they dropped ApeCoin, it just climbed to like the first or top 3 Metaverse coins just like within a few days. And people were like, whoa, what is the ApeCoin? And then everybody else kind of bought in. So it's definitely all about the community. And the biggest issue with the haters for PFP NFTs is just that they think there's no real utility. It's just another PFP. There's a million of them already there. But like Dr. WAGMI also said, with Play to Earn, those PFP NFTs can be really good marketing tools for various projects or even exchanges, or even iToken. You guys said you released PFP NFTs. They could just be a good way to get the community together and just offer some sort of like nominal value or just some NFT to just kind of like make you feel more connected.
Yeah, I think if you buy a PFP NFT in the first place, you shouldn't really be expecting a profit. It's just like if I buy a Gucci bag, I buy it because I want to show off. If I buy a nice Ferrari car, I'm definitely going to lose money when I sell it secondhand, but I just like to own it, you see. So I guess that's how I see it. I'm not sure, Dr. Whitney, how do you see it?
Well, yes, exactly. This is exactly right. So basically, every time you buy NFT like PFP, that's a collectible essentially, and typically expected that the person who is buying is appreciating the joy of owning it, not just to flip the profit. And moreover, those communities which are like on the top right now, they essentially gave a little bit more utility. So essentially, they turned their community into some sort of private clubs where you have that NFT and you have access to a lot of things which they organize themselves. And that has its own value. And that's why they keep beating the charts and having the top valuations, because, it's still people are hunting for being a member of the club and they're ready to pay for it. That's why the price is so high. It's not just the picture, That's why.
That's right. I do see some similarity between your project and PFPs. Because PFPs is an image, but I see that yours is kind of the same, just that yours is in text form. And then you have your 10K club and your 100K club as well.
Well, yes, we are trying to have our, the ideas forming the community also in a certain way. So we'll have those clubs and stuff. So we're taking the part which is a community building and hype building properties from those PFPs. But and essentially the idea is also an NFT on its own. It's just NFT which is linked to a lot of different data, not just pictures. It will be linked to your social profile, linked to your addresses and different chains, and it help managing everything. And also additional feature which we are putting on top of it is that you can hide your actual wallet address and use NFT as some proxy. So this way it's harder for bad actors to find out your address and try to hack you, which is also kind of another utility in increasing safety in the Web3 world, which is probably one of the stopping factors for many people right now, because they're afraid of losing their key and stuff like that, or
Yeah, it is coming from a iToken wallet, the DeFi wallet. I know of it. I experienced firsthand. A lot of people get their assets stolen and compromised, and they're really very, very afraid. So that is definitely what you say is true. So back to Adomas. With regard to your community, specifically to D-Race, do you observe people getting involved in NFTs? Like, do they buy a horse to flip a profit, or just because they like to own it? They just, like Digimon in the old days, they like to breed it. They like to own a Tamagotchi, a horse. What do you think?
It's a good question. So we try to analyze our community, and it comes in certain groups. So yeah, the first group is just hardcore racers who just they're just for the race, because they want to race, they want to win, and they want to breed the best possible horse and just keep racing with that horse. There is a strong, so basically the people who just completely enjoying the game and just horse aside, just their primary assets to participate. There is some sort of community who's trying to flip the assets. It's smaller. This is why we try to focusing on actually creating a cool game which is fun to play, instead of focusing on not so important aspects of it. And yeah, there is a third wave of the community who's looking always in some sort of additional ways of earning some sort of profit or some sort of outcome with their NFTs. Either it would be by just breeding and selling the offsprings, or just flipping them. So I would say our community is pretty mixed in that case, but I'm glad that the majority of them is focused on racing. We also have a PFP collection which is called the Jockey Club. So that's horse avatars. We released it just for for single condition, basically, almost a year ago, or even more than a year ago. Can't remember. It was accessing just small community where additional horse sales and just everything would be presented ahead of the time before reaching the rest. And actually that collection is doing pretty well. Along the way we added additional utility to it. So right now we're just gonna distribute one of our hippodromes to the Jockey Club avatar owners. But yeah, it works as a closed community. They have their own things, their own thoughts, and it's a really, really good way just taking a peek what they are chatting about.
Okay, yeah, very interesting. Good that you have a nice balance of different types of people in your community. How about you, Mark? What did you say about your community specifically?
Yeah, right now it's just people that just like to explore the metaverse. I mean, it's definitely a little tougher now. We saw the Decentraland that had only like 38 users. Those daily active users, but the USM is doing pretty well. I think on average is 30,000 daily users, and when we did the concert, it was like double that monthly users. So I think people are still very much interested in the metaverse, and that the community is right now, since we don't have as many like play to earn aspects of it. People are not participating in USM just for a profit. I think they're just like enjoying the exploring the USM, especially now we're working on the World Cup events that's gonna enable users to explore the metaverse. And we're building all the headquarters, like for iToken, for other aspects, right around the stadium. So then when people go to the game, they're able to explore all the other buildings and the headquarters of the metaverse. So I think people are very much still looking for new projects and like exploring the various aspects of different projects. So the community is still very young, but the potential is definitely there.
That's cool. I think for lands it's not so attractive for people who want to flip a profit, because to buy a land you need a quite substantial profit. As to gaming avatars, maybe just $5 or $10. But to buy a big piece of land, it is quite a substantial investment for the average man on the street.
Yeah, I agree. There's especially now, to buy land is I mean, at the peak it was about 10,000 for Decentraland, the Sandbox, and the other deed. It was about $10,000 for a piece of land, which I thought was a lot now. But even today, at the bear market, a piece of land costs about $1,500 to $2,200. It's still quite a bit for especially someone who is just getting into investing into cryptocurrencies. And you know, the way the bear market is going, things could go even lower. But I think overall, it's still, I mean, prices are 90% down. I've been thinking about buying virtual land and like other deed for the longest time, but I'm just kind of putting it off. It just depends on how much risk you're willing to take. Depends on what you believe in. But I think virtual real estate is definitely a good investment because it's something tangible. It's something you can do something with. If you buy a plot of land in Decentraland, for example, you can actually do something. You can either monetize it, or you can promote a project, or you can you know, build whatever you want using your creative skills to do something, rather than just buying a token and just holding on to it and praying that you'll make a profit. You know, so you have a, it's like, actually it's like real estate. You know, when you buy something, you have a little something more tangible. So it's a little more incentivizing to invest in my opinion.
I see. Now, moving on to Dr. Watney, domain names. Now, for domain names, there's definitely avenue for flipping a profit. Many people know, even for internet, there are squatters of domain names. So what people do is that they think what domain name is going to be hyped. Like maybe I'm going to buy a Nike domain name or Gucci domain name, and they think that they're going to hold it and hold the company ransom to flip a big profit. What do you think? Like, what do you see in your community?
Indeed, there are people like that. They're trying to buy some rare name or something they think in the future will be like a lot of value in it, and you know, like with different companies and stuff. But it's not only that. Like community, they see that your name is like, you can actually have the name just for the sake of you know, use of it. You can utilize it to the full potential, and they're not expensive. They're not as expensive as like land in the metaverse. You can get one for not as much. I mean, and also the value of it is practically determined by the how much somebody else would want it. So that's the hype, and that's the how some people want to monetize the idea of like owning particular domain name, obviously. Yeah, so there is both kinds, those who are trying to flip the profit and those who are like going for the sake of using it for themselves, which is, I mean, it's expected. And with domain names, it's always, as you mentioned, it's always a lot of, you know, like potential for grabbing some particular name, which is later might be very, very lucrative for some other entity, company, some other person or whatever. And then, yeah, like definitely there is a way to make a profit. It's kind of doesn't look very nice, but that it is what it is. And sometimes when there is a like real value behind it, definitely somebody is going to cash out for getting it. Yeah. And the system is designed in a way similar to the domain name, so anybody can grab any name essentially. I mean, whatever is open to public. And then later on, when the company is realizing that they need that name, they will have to kind of chase after it. There is no other way to get that name back.
I think this idea worked when there was only ENS, when there was only domain name.eth. So if, like, say, I'm Nike, I probably want to buy it. But if there is now able to have Nike.bsa, Nike.bnb, Nike. Whatever, I can't possibly be buying like all 1,000 variations of it. So that strategy might not work. That's my opinion.
Well, yeah, of course, you might like there are different aspects to that. Like if there is a company which wants to have their name like blocked, like whatever the most of the companies doing, they're buying all the names which are similar to their company name as well. Like they're buying a bulk of names. It's probably kind of I'm not seeing that companies will start buying all the suffixes which will be released, but I mean, it is all possible. It's just I don't see the utility for the companies as much to have all suffixes owned by them. So they might just go with the most mainstream, just like it happened with .com in the internet world. So like it's probably going to be like a few of them. And also, like we are trying to make those suffixes bound to particular communities. So we have like .bab, for example, as for BNB community. I think it depends on what your target is. So if you're targeting that particular community, you just own that name. If you have that name with another suffix, it's probably not as valuable because there are different community behind there. So it's not necessary to buy all of them. Just what I'm trying to say. You just need the one where your target audience is. That's what you want to have, and
whichever is relevant to your business.
Yeah, it makes a lot of difference which particular suffix you use. So that's like different kind of.
Sure. Okay, moving on to our next magic word. Our next magic word is land NFT. So now moving the conversation forward to land NFTs. The next question would be, why would a non-technical business want to have Metaverse land NFT? Like we have seen several big name purchases, especially in the sandbox. For example, Samsung, Gucci, Time Magazine, HSBC. All these people have nothing to do with tech, and even if they have, it's very little. There's basically no overlap for crypto. They have no business in crypto or tech. Why would they want to have a metaverse land? We'll start with you, Adomas. I think you have some hippodromes. Does that count as metaverse land as well?
It's close to it, I would say, but it's close to it, but it has additional meanings to it. But yeah, generally speaking, I believe these companies just see the opportunity that no one is doubting that the metaverse, the whole concept, will explode. So they just see the opportunity, just conquering the advertising plot while they can acquire it. I would say like that. Because with the metaverse in general, I mean, I'm a gamer myself, so I've been playing computer games which have not been called metaverse, but completely serves the metaverse purpose for the last 15 years probably. So no one is doubting that's going to be the actual metaverse next big thing. So I think that's the main reason why they just just slowly acquiring advertisement space there.
Mark, what do you say? Your project is entirely on metaverse. Your take is very important.
Yeah, I do think that with the metaverse, companies that have nothing to do with tech getting into the metaverse is just an option for marketing. So just a way to capture a larger community, to be part of the movement, to show their community that they're like forward looking. Samsung, I think Absolute Vodka had a metaverse with a partnership with Decentraland. Snoop Dogg with the Sandbox. They're just kind of trying to show that their investors, their shareholders, their supporters, that they're also forward looking, that they're on this metaverse hype train, rather than being left behind those companies that are doubting the metaverse. It's also a way to maybe choose a side, and like go with the flow. And biggest idea in my opinion is to show that they're forward-looking companies. They're accepting of change, and they're looking for like the next opportunity all the time.
I think you have some big names as well, right? French Montana.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, French Montana as well. Yeah, he's one of the co-founders for Jazz DID actually as well.
Right. Dr. Whitney, what would you say on many companies buying metaverse lands? Do you think more
Yes. So I completely agree with what Mark said. It's definitely advertisement, but just to add to that, exactly, you see those articles published there, and so you need to give some food for media to that they can publish something about you. And this is the perfect way to create something they do, so that the news companies will go and write an article about it and spread the news along everywhere. So it's not only reaching to the community where those actual users of the metaverse, but also people who read news. They will read about it and they will like think about the company, like, oh yeah, this company is very progressive, they're moving forward, they're like getting involved with this new technologies and stuff like that. So like, and for somebody it might be first time they hear about Web3 through the articles like this. They read it about their favorite company that they're doing that, and they might be like interested in that. So that's all about this. Like you do something so that you create some event or some activity which can be described, can be published in the news or something. So it's advertisement and marketing essentially. That's what it is.
I see. Fodder for the journalists, and like some sort of like free exposure for your brand. People are just helping you to promote. Okay, now this is our fourth magic word for the day. #breed NFT. Type in the magic word together with your BSC wallet address. Now, because of time constraints, we will be moving on to the last question of the day. What is the future of NFTs going to look like? You first, Adamas.
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. That would be the short answer. I can guess, but I'm not sure will I be right or not. Generally speaking, I believe it's just going to be implemented more and more. So every digital asset on computer games, audio tracks, just videos, pictures, tickets, you name it, everything. Every digital asset will have its own ID and will be directly or indirectly classified as a digital asset or NFT. I'm not really sure will that be on the chain or in more centralized of the chain solution, but I'm pretty sure that will be a way of identify each digital file or digital copy of something.
I see. So you are saying in a sense, essentially, everything that is non-digitized right now that does not have a digital ID will eventually move to being digitized. Whatever like property rights or your insurance or whatever will eventually move to the blockchain.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's a really good example which you mentioned. Agreements. That's a really good idea of just digitalize them, creating a single copy which cannot be duplicated. It cannot be easily counterfeit. That's one of the really good applications which you just mentioned. So here you go. This is a perfect example from you. Agreements, which I think will turn into NFT shortly.
Which reminds me of this article that I saw about soulbound tokens. When you talk about agreements and identity, even Binance has hopped onto it with the Binance account bound tokens. So I guess perhaps that's the way the future of NFTs might be moving. What about you, Mark? What do you say?
Yeah, I do agree with Adamas. They're just going to have more utilities for the NFTs, and there more things going to be digitized. I think nobody can really predict the future, so I guess we're just going to guess. But I think big data and NFTs might have a little bit more of an intricate relationship in the future. Because right now, turning, let's say, a concert ticket into an NFT, it is possible and does make sense, but is it really necessary? Because you just go to Ticketmaster, buy a ticket. It doesn't need to be an NFT. It's like just a QR code. But some things like big data, for example, or even like in soulbound assets like university degrees or insurance agreements, there could be some benefit to having it into an NFT because you don't have to deal with, I guess, it's more automated system, so you don't really have to deal with humans if something goes wrong. You want it to be more of a solid process, so maybe like recovering your agreement or looking or verifying your agreement. So maybe like real estate can get into NFTs a little more. But I do think the future of NFTs is just going to be more unique utilities that enable users to a more seamless process of utilizing like agreements or assets or stuff like that.
Right. So I recently saw this about Nike. They have this idea of integrating their sportswear with NFT chips, and then the users can use this as gaming avatars in the metaverse or to play some GameFi. So I think that's probably how they are going to work, and maybe Adidas or Reebok or whatever might follow on the trend as well. Dr. Whitney, what do you say? Your take on NFTs for the near future?
Well, yeah, I see more and more government adoption for the NFT use. So I hope to see in the soon that we will have digital versions of all IDs, documents issued by the governments, like deeds or whatever. It all can be, at least in the beginning, it will be the duplicate in the NFT form of it, and you will still have a physical copy, but later on it might become mainstream and you will not need the paper copies anymore. And that's what I see as like a big application. So like NFT driver license, hope it will take a while though, I'm pretty sure, but it can be.
Birth certificates, passports.
Yeah. Passports obviously is, and all the certificates issued by the governments, like diplomas from universities, degrees, like certifications, and all of these licenses which are issued by the government can be because it's very convenient, easy to verify, and you don't have to have like a paper copies of it if you don't really need it.
Okay, speaking of governments, I saw this article today. It just came out today. The SEC is going after BAYC because it says that the NFTs that BAYC issued are like securities. So it says that investment, when people buy the NFTs, it's more of like an investment in the brand value of the Bored Ape Yacht Club, which is akin to buying shares in the company and not so much of a NFT that you appreciate for the art. So we know that the governments around the world have been going after token projects, and it seems like now they are going after NFT projects as well. What do you say? Are you, because we are so involved in this, especially your projects? Do you think that you'll be affected by this? And what do you think, Adomas?
Look, I'm not like crypto anarchist, which states that there should be no regulations and everything. I think there should be way more regulations in crypto, and that would be way more beneficial to users. And I mean, I'm not an expert, just saying things on the legal side. But generally, I believe, where the hype is, if something gives attraction a lot of attention, then that attention is also attracted by the government authorities. So this is why we're seeing they're shifting towards the NFTs. But regarding how they will be valued, etc., I'm not really a professional on the legal side. So maybe someone else can comment more on that.
Sure, no problem. Mark, how about you? Do you think the government is coming hard on NFT projects nowadays?
Yeah, I think that, well, the whole thing with the SEC is their idea is to protect investors. So I think they're just trying to, was the probe into the Yuga labs. I think that was initially announced like a few days earlier. And I think last week, Kim Kardashian got fined like $1.2 million for not disclosing how much she got paid for promoting crypto asset. And now with the Ethereum merge, they believe that Ethereum is actually a security. So there's definitely a lot of regulation always happening and changing. Yeah, by no means a legal expert on this, but I think the whole idea for them is to protect investors, especially with the way things go up and down. But at the same time, I think investors should take some responsibility on themselves, because you know what you're investing in. This is the crypto market. It is the Wild West. Things are going to go up and down 90%. And if you're not ready to handle it, as soon as you lose, 50% of your portfolio, you're going to start sending lawsuits. I don't think that's fair either. There should be some sort of like middle balance between regulation and at the same time investors taking some responsibility for their investments. You know.
Definitely. Dr. Whitney, what's your opinion on this? Well, you seem to be very pro-government and you think that government is going to embrace blockchain. So what do you say?
I mean, I'm talking about using the technology itself. I'm not talking about speculative price. Obviously, like government is trying to be very protective about these assets, and like when there are institutional investors coming into the game, obviously there will be a lot of scrutiny related to the like the how your kind of your asset has to evaluate, and it doesn't like they give some like security to in a sense of like not losing the value. And obviously when the cryptocurrency taps into this kind of environment, government is going to step in, and as Mark mentioned, they will try to protect the investors and investments a little bit more. So like just like with the stocks, like there are penny stocks which have no regulations whatsoever, and they're reputable stocks. So the same thing here is going to happen. Probably some of the NFTs and cryptocurrencies will be kind of graded as a security because they're more kind of stable and more more reliable in a sense with the prior history, just like like reputable stocks in the stock market. And there will be some cryptocurrencies which will be Wild West. There will be no regulations, but obviously those will not attract those institutional investors into them at least at some point. So you have to have that separation because it's a finance, it's a market, and obviously we all know what will happen if you will let it go without any regulation at all. So the crash going to happen pretty soon. So that's why this is good that it's happening in a sense, because that means that it's actually indicative that government starts to adopt the crypto as a serious thing, essentially. And
I do agree with you that that's a very good point. Although investors have to bear a certain amount of responsibility for their own investments, but then again, governments are also responsible for the safety of the citizens. So there definitely has to be some sort of regulation, but it just has to be a balance of it, regulation and non-regulation. So right now we've come to the end of our show, and the last magic word is NFT 2.0. So people who are still here with us, thank you very much. Be sure to type in the chat box the last magic word NFT 2.0 together with your iToken wallet BSC address. So again, thank you very much, audience, for being here with us. Crypto can be confusing, crypto can be difficult, but don't worry, we are gonna make it. That's the whole theme of today's show. Thank you very much, Adomas from Trace. Thank you, Mark from USM, and thank you, Dr. Whitney from Jazz D&D. Thank you, and have a nice day. Bye bye.
Thanks for having.